200 husks, baby! That means 100 Belial runs. And I'm choosing the Beast to Nice treasure for that 4-star Fists of Fate. Do we get a 4-star unique from the first run? No. No Mythic unique either. On run 4, we find 2-star Fists of Fate. On run 5, we find a 1-star Chaos Starfall Coronet. On run 8, we find a 2-star Starfall Coronet. But wait, there's 2 of them! On run 13, we find a 2-star Strike of Stormhorn. On run 15, we find a 1-star Chaos Exfal Signet. The number of uniques that had exactly 1 greater affix from Belial was 262 uniques. On run 17, we find an Igni rune. On run 19, we find a 1-star Chaos Flame Scar. On run 23, we find a 2-star Gloves of the Illuminator. On run 25, we find a Tam rune. On run 27, we find a 2-star Gloves of the Illuminator. But wait, there's 2 of them! On run 28, we find a 2-star Tassets of the Dawning Sky. On run 35, we find a 1-star Chaos Raiment of the Infinite. The most amount of greater affix uniques that dropped in a single kill was 5 greater affix uniques. On run 38, we find a Mythic unique. Ho ho ho! Ethereal's Might. Ah, the Mythics, baby! Also, a 1-star Chaos Lokran's Talisman. On run 43, we find a 2-star Tassets of the Dawning Sky. But wait, there's 2 of them! On run 49, we find a 2-star Starfall Coronet. But wait, there's 2 of them! On run 52, we find a 2-star Starfall Coronet. On run 53, we find a 2-star Fists of Fate. On run 54, we find a 2-star Starfall Coronet. But wait, there's 2 of them! On run 55, we find a 2-star Gloves of the Illuminator. On run 56, we find a 1-star Chaos Paingorgers. The total number of Chaos uniques in 100 runs was 7 Chaos uniques. On run 57, we find a 2-star Starfall Coronet. But wait, there's 2 of them! On run 59, we find a 2-star Tassets of the Dawning Sky. But wait, there's 2 of them! On run 60, we find a Yam rune. On run 71, we find a 2-star Oculus. But wait, there's 2 of them! Actually, there's 3 of them! On run 74, we find a 2-star Paingorgers. On run 77, we find a 1-star Chaos Ophidian Iris. On run 83, we find an Ohm rune. The number of legendary runes that dropped over the 100 runs was 5 legendary runes. On run 97, we find a 3-star Fists of Fate. But wait, there's 2 of them! Also, 1-star Paingorgers. But wait, there's 2 of them too! On run 100, the final run, do we get a Mythic unique? No. We find a 1-star Fists of Fate. But wait, there's 2 of them! Also, a 1-star Starfall Coronet. But wait, there's 2 of them too! 1 Mythic unique in 100 runs. That and no 4-star drop means I was pretty unlucky.